Hello there, woodworking people. Today I'd like to talk to you about my new tool, the Triton Unlimited Rebate Planer. Now, it's unintentional that this channel has become a bit of a Triton fanboy channel. That's not my intention. But since I've had a couple of their other tools, I've come to the opinion that they're relatively good quality and value for money. So they certainly suit sort of my budget and my needs, and that's why I'm making a review on this tool along with the others. If you're interested in seeing any of those others, you can find them in my video library. Please go check those out. And I can't give you any sort of indication as to the longevity of these tools. Some people hold the opinion that a video review isn't valid unless you've had it for a long time and you can tell how long it lasts. I can't do that. I've had this a week. But when I'm buying a tool, one of the first things I look for is somebody else that's had it and used it and has an opinion on it, and you can just make your own mind up from there. So that's what I'm doing. I think there's a benefit to these videos, and I hope you do too. And if one person finds it useful, it was worth my time. So I had a job recently. I've had a lot of jobs recently outside of the workshop, which is why I haven't had any project videos in here for quite a while. One job in particular, I've recently refit a house full of interior doors, and for that reason I thought I'd better go buy a power planer. I did have one, but it broke some time ago, and it's a tool I don't use that often, but I've never got round to replacing. So here we are. So why is it called an unlimited rebate planer? When you buy a power planer, if you're looking at them, you will see that they all offer a rebate cut option capacity. It could be 8mm, 9mm, 12mm deep rebates. And the reason for that is there's usually something in the design of the bodywork of the tool that restricts the blade cutting any deeper. With this, that isn't the case. The blade runs to the end of the machine and it can just go as deep as you need it to. That's not one of the reasons I bought it. It's not a feature that I would necessarily use, but it can get you out of a jam from time to time. But one of the other sort of cool features that it does have is it's the only power planer that I'm aware of, at least here in the United Kingdom, that has a triple blade head on it. Every other power planer that I've seen uses 2 blades. This has 3. So the pros of that is you get more cuts per rotation, which means possibly a smoother cut and less strain on the motor. The downside to that is when these blades become dull and need to be replaced, I have to buy 3 blades. And planer blades are generally sold in packs of 2. So I will probably end up buying 3 packs of 2, 6 blades, replace 3, store 3, and do it that way, and keep 3, for the next time that the blades go. So that I kind of like about it. And the other interesting feature that this has, which I'm not sure why I would use it, or it's never occurred to me to use a tool like that for such a thing, but again, it just might come in handy sometime. The cutter head can be replaced with a sanding drum and used as an edge sander, if you like. We'll get into that a bit more later in the video, but for the time being, that's kind of it, other than the usual what's in the box stuff. So you get the tool, obviously, you get a dust bag, you get a instruction manual, the sanding drum, the rebate fence, guide fence, and a locking screw, and a spanner and a dust extraction port. So yeah, all the usual kind of stuff you would expect. All bases are covered in that department. So what I've got set up here is I've prepared a 3x2. Well, it's not quite 3 inches anymore, but we're going to use this as a sort of an experiment, as if this was the edge of a door. And I've got my piece of ply, which is relatively as straight edge as we need for this purpose. And as you can see, as we run along here, we can sort of establish that this timber is relatively flat. And if we put our square up against it, we can check that, you know, the top surface is nice and square to the edge all the way down. So we're going to take a cut from this board and see how it performs in terms of depth. Now, for those of you that spotted that, I've already marked and measured increments of thickness of this board along the length. So as we take a shaving, we're going to come back and remeasure that and see exactly how much material has been removed as we take a pass. So let's fire it up and get cracking. I had some safety goggles around here 2 minutes ago. There they are. Right, a power planer is a very odd tool. It's not the sort, you don't just pick it up and go really. There's a bit of trial and error with a planer, I always found. You've got to get the technique right. It's very easy to sort of tip it one side or another. So that's the first thing you need to sort of focus on if you haven't used one of these before. The other thing that you need to be aware of is whether it's generally correct or not. I'm not entirely sure, but this is what I've found works best for me. Keep the pressure on the front right until you get to the very end, then press down on the back and through. That's what works for me. What can I say? Apart from that, there is a bit of prep work you need to do to set the planer up. The blades, the end of the blades need to be parallel as best you can with the outfeed bed on the saw. So you just work your way around each of the blades, and you can adjust them with these the grub screws inside the cutter head, and you just dial those in as close as you can, so all of the blades are nice and level with the outfeed bed of the sole. Okay, so here we go. One of the things I liked as soon as I pulled the trigger on this thing was how quiet it was. The old one that I used to have used to go and scream. This was pleasantly quiet. That's quite a nice tone to it. Now, I'm not going to use the dust extractor with this tool. I find it hard enough as it is, just controlling it, so I don't need any extra hoses or weight attached to it to contend with. So I'm just going to let the mess go where it goes, but that option is there if you want it. Right, so I've got the cutter set to its maximum depth, which according to the tool should be 3mm. Now, I've found in my use of this that isn't what I'm getting from it. Whether that can be achieved or not, I don't know, but I've got this set up as best I can, and I'm not getting 3mm from it. I'm getting about 2, which again is alright for me. I don't mind taking shavings at 2mm at a time. That's, for my liking, that's plenty. The fact it says it does 3 and maybe it doesn't, I'm not sure. I can't comment on that. But I've got it set up and it's at its maximum depth, which says 3. But when I take this pass, we should see about a 2mm difference in the width increments along this board. So here we go. pressure on the front. Okay, we seem to get a good cut all the way across. Now let's check with the calipers how thick this board is now. Okay, so our first one we're looking at 58.05. So that's a little over 2 millimeters. Moving down. $59.5. So that's a difference of 2.2. Next one. So we was at 62.2 and now at 60.05. So again, that's about 2.2 millimeters, and then down to the far end. Let's see what we've got. 62.2 again was our starting point, and we're at 60.2. 60.2. So that's about 2 millimeters. So we've taken a cut of somewhere in the region of 2 millimeters to 2.3 millimeters, fairly evenly across this full length, and we've stayed square. So that's a good machine setup and good operation of the machine, I suppose. So all in all, it kind of does what I need it to do as far as planing edges of doors and stuff like that goes. Let's put the sanding drum on and see what that does. Let's turn the power off. Grab ourselves an Allen key. There's a spindle lock on the side of the machine. I know it's here, I've seen it. Ah, there it is. There we go. I'll simply release the screw. This drum just slides out. Sanding goes on, and then pop on the retaining screw and washers. Tighten that down. Plastic. There, so Okay. Right, let's sand this edge and see what that does. Right, so now we've got the sanding drum installed, I shall reduce the depth of cut to, well, goes to its lowest setting, because again it's sand, we just want to skim the surface, I assume, and we'll see how we get on. To be fair, seems pretty good. It's definitely sanded. If that was covered in paint or varnish or something like that, I imagine that I'd have just tore that to pieces. And all of my pencil marks have gone. Yeah, bang on. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the Triton Unlimited Rebate Power Planer. Check it out.